A little bit of extra work on the front end is going to save me a lot of time and headache on the back end. Every time I cut steps in the front, it costs me a lot more time on the back end, or it costs me results.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
All right, cool. All right, so I'll teach you guys on one thing that I may have taught this before. I'm not exactly sure a while back, but the money, aka the cash, right, is built on the conversion in terms of how do I get conversion all the way to the end. What do you think that means? I better pin gets here.
Get paid at the end of the deal.
All right, give me more about that.
Like, you got to walk them through the whole entire process, and they got to be happy throughout the whole entire process. You got to nail it to a T without having any hiccups. I'd say you could have a hiccup, but you better be able to handle that hiccup and demonstrate that in an articulate way that they can understand it and it not be a big deal.
Yeah, so it can't be just me getting on base, right? That's a helpful thing, and that's helpful for me to constantly load the base up. But the thing is, I can't just get on base. I got to make sure I get on base and then second base and then third base and all the way back home consistently to make sure I'm winning. So if I'm not converting all the way through lead to appointment, right, aka phone script, appointment to actually showing up to actually signing to actually staying with me and looking at property, same thing on the listing side, right, to getting a listing. If I'm on the buy side, to actually showing properties, looking at properties, and staying with me as their client. I mean, I'd say almost up to 50% of people that we sign are disappearing. A lot of times we're not following because we're not getting to what? The conversion piece. And so all that has to do with really the frames of how we set this up and how we stack the frames on top of each section, so to speak, and how we're framing in mind. That goes back to those data things I was talking about, where they may trust you the first 3 steps, but they don't trust you after step 3. Guess what they're doing? They're leaving, going with somebody else, especially in a fast-paced market with more double the realtors than there are properties for sale. And so we just have to understand, how do I make sure I'm sticking to the right things in the right order, that I'm able to keep their mindset and their trust in terms of getting to the outcome with me. Does that make sense? And so we know the basic stuff, which is kind of pre-frame this, understand what their pain, their problem is, all those things matter. But I just want to talk about kind of selling what we call frames, which is super important in that aspect. I'm going to clear this and kind of show you really quick these 5 different steps we have to help do that. So number 1, you guys look at the outside part of this frame is going to look like this. Number 1 frame here is discipline. What do you think that means?
Do you do what you say you're going to do? I had one guy sign with me last week just because I followed up and said what I was going to do.
All right, keep going. This is through all pieces. So what else, you guys? Who else? Somebody give me something else.
Sticking to the process.
There we go. Sticking to the process, right? So if I'm here and I'm coming out to make sure I'm sticking to the process, what does that mean?
From the beginning all the way to the end.
Yeah. So number 1 here, I'm just gonna use my finger in this. This is number 1. Just put discipline here, right? This line's gonna be discipline. So that comes down to 2 things. Number 1, am I on time? We had an issue this weekend with 2 clients, or I'm sorry, client in 2 situations where they were very pissed off because guess what the agent did? Take a guess.
He was late.
They were late. Now, if I show up late to an appointment, right, to a showing, to anything, and my clients are waiting on me, how's that look towards me? Not very good, right? Are they going to trust my advice when I tell them what to do if I can't even show up on time? Absolutely not. If I'm down there, my clients show up at 11 o'clock and I get done at 11:05, does that show very well to my clients? It doesn't, right? And so the first piece of discipline is, am I on time? Am I ready to go? Do I have all my documents? Do I have everything lined up ahead of time so I'm coming in the position of power? That's the key part. I got to make sure I take the extra step to be there early, right? Being there early is a habit. It's not just something that naturally happens. You got to make a decision to be early no matter what. You're never late. You notice the same people are always late with the same amount of chaos. It's because they get in the habit of being reactionary and always showing up late. So number 1, make sure you're on time, right? You got to make sure you have the right energy and the right environment if you're in the downstairs piece. Okay, if I'm meeting somebody here in the office, or even the seller, right? If I'm meeting there, I'm going to have the right energy, right environment. What's that mean? All my tools are together. My buyer presentation is together. My documents are together in the right order. When it's at ahead of time early, why? Because I want to make sure I have, number 1, the frame of discipline. It's very, very important for me to make sure I do in that scenario. because that's just very, very important for me. That makes sense to you guys there? Where else does that come in play?
Everything in life, man. I mean, like,
Number one comes in
I
play.
learned this at a young age. If you're 5 minutes, if you're 5 minutes early, I mean, that's still late in my opinion. I mean, 15 minutes ahead of time is a standard. I mean, some people show up early just to check you out.
Yep. So they're just sizing you up. Every second they're sizing you up, right? So another piece of this too, right, is this comes down to number one. I was trying to write this, pen's not working, but ideally, right, comes into number one, the discipline of, do I actually go through the script the right way? Do I stick to the script? That's very important. Why is that? Because even if I can book the appointment, do they show up? What's the frame like when they show up? How impressed are they with us? They got to be impressed with you and how your words work and how they calculate their judgment of you in every single way they work, right? The script isn't, hey, are you looking to buy the next few months? Are you looking to make a move next few months? Why? Because it has to do with how we frame their mind up. Okay, we got to make sure that we're having the frame done the right way and that everything's handled the right way. The same thing in the buyer presentation. There's discipline of what? There's two pieces of discipline there. What do you think that is?
Trial closes.
Number one is, you have one, sticking to the process, meaning I hit all the blocks. I do the front and the back, even though I think I can probably sign them just on the front, right? I don't need the chart to sign anybody, but I need to do front and the back to have them like and trust and value my advice and to send me referrals in the back end. And so there has to be that piece of discipline. Number one, do I stick to the process, meaning I hit every box? And the second piece of that is actually doing what, Ryan?
I got the trial closes.
Yes. What does that mean?
Actually closing on each section. Like,
Yeah, even when it's what?
I probably go through about 5 different closes before we even go through on the back end. I'm just hitting the process.
You got to make the trial closes even when it's uncomfortable. I mentioned this last week, but it's very important because I've got to lock out those seeds of doubt, aka close the doors in their mind to make sure I'm able to have them go through and believe and trust and value my advice. The same thing, we'll talk about this in a minute. There's another frame that's outside here. I'll talk about at the end, the pre-frame part, but you got to make sure you do the right pre-frames in terms of open up the close, right? So in the property, what I say, how you guys looking at properties now, right? I find out what the scenario is and I say, hey, look, let me ask you a question. John, if I can show you guys a better way, it's more efficient, more effective, that can get you access to properties a lot faster and save you a lot of time. Is that something you might be interested in? That's a discipline of doing what? Understanding I have to open the frame up of their mind before I can ever get inside and be able to pitch them. Okay. The same thing in terms of if I'm in the what you call it, in the office, I do the same thing. Hey, you guys understand how agency works? I got to frame it up the right way. If I'm in the seller presentation, I do the same exact thing in terms of my pre-frame where I go through, hey, look, explain what we do. Well, we're, top 1% in the country, go through the whole process. If I feel that you're a fit, I'll make an offer to do business with you, right? I own the frame there, but that comes from a piece of discipline, meaning I have to do what even I feel like I don't need to do sometimes, knowing I need to get to the outcome. Okay. And so the key here, I got to make sure the right energy, the right tools, the right setup, and everything set up ahead of time. So what does that mean? A little bit of extra work on the front end is going to save me a lot of time and headache on the back end. Every time I cut steps in the front, it costs me a lot more time on the back end, or it costs me results. And this is true in any sales, but especially in our sales situation where we sell on frames, right? We sell on frames, and the key, most important one, the outside one, is a frame of discipline. You guys hearing that? So if I cut corners, I'm going to cut my money on the back end. Why? Because people will disappear. And the problem is most people aren't good enough to understand why people are leaving when they're leaving in the process. And so better to just be careful and set up the frames the right way, the front end, aka discipline, aka follow the process, aka hit the charts, all the pieces, the boxes need to be checked. Okay. And it goes back to, hey, look how I'm missing this in the presentation. The same person missing it on the back end on the CRM where they can't even check a box there, right? Make sure you guys are hitting all the steps every time, because that's how you have predictable results on the back end. Very, very important there in that scenario, right? I put every piece of the puzzle here matters, because you're not sure which puzzle piece they may be concerned about the most, or their previous scenarios before you, while they may not trust you, they may not like you, right? Very, very important here. Second piece here, right, is a second frame that comes in here that we're going to go through. That's important when we're selling in what we call frames. The second piece here is intention. What do you guys think that means?
And for me, it means, I'm setting up a conversation with my intention for you to I'm setting up a pre-frame on the home inspection before we have the home inspection. So your intentions will not be to ask for everything under the book.
Yes. So every meeting, every conversation, everything has to have a preset intention in my mind about here's what I'm doing. Here's my outcome for this meeting. And here's my outcome for this phone call. I will put desired outcome, right? That's important for me to have. Hey, look, what's my intention in this call, right? What's my intention in this meeting? What's my intention with this showing? Because a lot of people are just going through the motions and not really having any intention in what they're doing. So they're just living based on allowing the client to make a decision or not, which that leads you down the path of just being an order taker. And so if I'm able to say, look, here's my intention of this call. Here's my intention of this meeting today. So if I'm face to face with my, hey, look, I'm going to show this property. I'm going to find their pain and find their problem. I'm going to show them. I'm going to make sure I'm very intentional about leading them into the buyer presentation. And I'm not leaving here until I get a contract signed, right? A buyer agreement signed. And I'm very intentional about that. Why? Because if I set the intention, then every single word that comes out of my mouth is aligning with that intention to help me get to the outcome I want, right? It's a key part there. Ask myself this question: what's my intention of this conversation, meeting, call, whatever it is? Like Ryan mentioned, this could be even for a home inspection that I'm having a pre-frame for before I get to that piece. Very important. I'm playing chess here of what's happening, right? You're able to see this. And once you get good at this, you can see this happening all around you. The way people are programming you, the way the news media is programming you, the way that everyone around you, the government is programming you. There's an intention behind it. If you can just stop back and start looking at things differently, you can understand there's intention in everything if you're good, right? And so you want to make sure you're able to go through that, right? Make sure I have positive energy and certainty. I want to make sure I'm bringing that positive energy and certainty to my clients in every piece of the puzzle, no matter what happens, right? This also goes back to one of the issues we had this weekend. People were saying, hey, look, the agent would show up late, and they'd sit in the car for 5 or 10 minutes. They'd be on their phone while we were looking at the property. These are complaints that they had. What were some of the complaints people had about the agent?
Gosh, there's a long list, unfortunately. They basically, the biggest one was when they were in the home together, they felt like that this person was not listening to them based off of what, important things that they were telling the agent that they felt was important to them. And then when they would get outside of the home, he was, okay, well, what do you think? And they're like, well, we already told you. So they just, that agent was not listening. And then just a lot of other, shady things that over time eroded any bit of trust that was there.
Yes. So this is a perfect example. And here's the thing. A lot of times when this is happening to agents, right, you have no clue they're thinking this about you. You think you're just doing okay. I've heard multiple complaints that the agent was on their phone. Now, if I'm on my phone, what do? I'll let them know my intention of why I'm on the phone. Hey, I'm going to look this up for you guys really quick and check that out for you, right? Whatever it is. But the key part is making sure I have the positive energy and certainty, making sure I'm energetically clear and in the moment. And back to what Jeremy said, what does that mean? What do you think energetically clear in the moment means?
And just being present.
Yes, that's what I was looking for, Baron. I'm fully present. I'm not jumping around, I'm not looking around, I'm not looking away from them, right? I'm fully present. My energy is clear, my energy is calm, and the focus is on them, and they feel it from me, which gives them what? Trust that I care, and I care about the outcome, right? And so those are two very, very important pieces I think that we got sometimes make sure we're extra aware of. Same thing if I'm in a house, touring a house with a seller, guess what? I'm laser focused on them, and that's it. My intention is to understand them deeper, right? To find out what is important to them, what's important through the house as I'm touring the house, whatever it is. And my intention is dialed into them, and nothing else matters. We all have chaos going around us, chaos in our lives. You have chaos in your personal lives. You have chaos in your business. But no matter what, when you're in the moment with the client, that's all that matters. And so my intention has to be clear that I'm laser focused in this moment and nothing else matters, right? They're going to read it on me. I'm telling you, conversion goes down or up based on how present you are in the moment and how clear your energy is with them. I see this all the time. I hear it all the time. Even we do feedback and callbacks and say, hey, what's the difference here? Right? It has to do with, well, there's something about the agent I didn't really trust, didn't like, or whatever it was. Feel like he didn't care about my house. There's all these reasons that are very important for us to make sure you're doing. So I'm clear in my head that says, this will be the outcome. Very important then.